number is this?
21.
Right. Okay. Parenting styles. What are parenting styles? Is there a universal way of parenting? Do couples have the same parenting styles, or do people parent in different ways? What motivates us? What are the things that make us parent the way we do? Good evening, everybody. Here is Aqua here with our 21st show, our Families Together show, 21st show, 21st episode. That's amazing. It's been what? 5 months now that we started doing these shows, and we're so excited to bring you this episode because today we're talking about something that's very pertinent in our everyday lives, especially as parents or people who care for children. We all know that we come into the parenting role with different backgrounds, with different baggages, with different knowledge and experience. And as such, we want to explore how we parent as individuals, as couples, and why not as a community. So Nelly is going to do the presentation. Welcome, Nelly, and good evening.
Thank you so much, Aqua. Hello, everyone. I am Nelly Kwasungwi, a transformational life coach. My screen always does this. I am Nelly Kwasungwi, a transformational life coach with a background as a social worker. I'm so pleased to have you here today. And while I speak, I'll just share my screen so we can go through this together. So get your piece of paper ready and just ask us questions. Send them in the comment, or just send them in the type them down, and we'll get to you then. Aqua, am I sharing?
Yes, I can see a screen, but it's black at the moment. Yeah, I can see the presentation now.
Okay. You know what? There's something on my screen. Hold on. I can't see my Zoom screen.
I can see the presentation. The presentation is on live. It's on slide number 3.
I cannot see. Okay, hold on. Let me see what that is.
Maybe you should stop sharing and then share again.
I can't even see the Zoom screen. Where has the controls gone?
Press escape. And maybe it will take you back.
I can't even see where to. I can't even see where to increase my screen.
Right. You wanna go off and then come back on?
Yeah. Okay, I've stopped sharing, haven't I?
Yes, you stopped sharing, but we're still live.
Okay, let me try it again. I don't know what happened before. Let me share that again. Can you see the screen now?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Let me go from the beginning.
Technology.
Sometimes it does.
You're still on page 3. Okay, great stuff. Right, so thanks again, everyone, for joining in, and let's have fun talking about parenting styles. Over to you, Nelly.
Yeah, okay, so thank you so much. Today, we'll be talking about the impact of different parenting styles on our children. So the focus today will be on our children. So just have this saying in mind. Your children's needs, your children need your presence more than your presence. So let's make that difference, because sometimes we rely on giving our children presents rather than being present. So for today, what we'll cover is parenting styles, tendencies of mothers and fathers, our children's basic emotional needs, the impact of different parenting styles, and combining both parenting styles. If you have any questions, we'll discuss that at the end. So we have different parenting styles. The first one I'll talk about is authoritarian parenting style. And with this one is a one-way communication. Parents say, and the expectation is for the child to obey and follow what is being said to them. The children are well behaved because they avoid punishment or consequences. Then the authoritative parenting style. The relationship between parent and children is very close. They have open communication and they have guidance, and parents explain when there are any consequences so the child understands. Then permissive parenting. The parents are warm, nurturing, and they have minimal expectations of their children, and they rarely implement discipline. They have very limited roles. Communication is open. They are more of friends than parents. Then the last one is uninvolved parenting. So there's lots of freedom, no boundaries. The parents provide the basic needs, but they are very detached from their children. So what parenting styles do you use or do you observe from other people? So tendencies of mothers and fathers. The characteristics of being more demanding or more nurturing vary, and this can either be mother or father. So though I have the labels here as mothers and fathers, sometimes they change. So it depends on what role you play, because roles are what society gives. Though we have some natural roles like mothers giving birth, but in this instance, just see yourself, what tendencies do you have? So we'll start with mothers. Generally, mothers are nurturing, probably because of their giving birth. It's just a natural thing. But men as well, fathers, they have those tendencies. Mothers tend to be emotionally connected to their children, and they talk more. So they give more instructions, explain, and things like that. And for mothers, children's needs come first. For fathers' styles, has high expectations and he is very consistent, probably because that is what they exhibit. They challenge their children, and in that process, they prepare their children for the real life situations. Fathers lack emotional connection with their children, and they impose consequences. They sacrifice their family, or they sacrifice for their family instead of focusing on individual children. So for them is family, not individual members of the family. So parenting styles vary in families and in cultures and nations. So it's for you to look for yours individually. So the focus is on the impact on our children, because children do not verbalize what they are experiencing. It doesn't mean they don't experience anything. And this concept is mostly misunderstood by many adults who say because a child has not said something, it means that they have not experienced it. They might lack vocabulary. It might be due to respect that they don't express how they are feeling. However, if they suppress their emotion, it will come out anyway because they'll use various coping strategies. Because again, if depending on the parenting style, they don't want the consequences, they'll be very, very obedient. So when they're around the parents, they'll be obedient. But when they are outside, when they know that freedom, they will be free and they'll do the things that they will not do. So they'll be very, very careful. But now it is very, very concerning because there is an increased number of children, young people, adults with mental and emotional health issues, and especially in certain communities like African cultures or African communities, Asian and Caribbean communities, there are a lot of taboos and cultural differences and stigma that we don't talk about mental health and emotional well-being. So it is important to meet children's basic needs. This I'll just talk in passing because we talked about this some time ago. What are children's basic emotional needs? Children need to feel safe and secure. They need support and encouragement from their parents. They need a nurturing environment. They need their parents to be reliable and consistent in whatever they do. And they learn by playing. So they need a fun environment, and children need structure. So parents need to implement boundaries and maintain those boundaries. So it will help the children to develop self-regulation. So then, children need both a mother and a father to meet their emotional needs. So what happens when children's needs are not met? Or I'll take it out. What happens when children's needs are met? Children are confident, responsible, and are able to self-regulate. They can manage their negative emotions more effectively and efficiently. And parents encourage them to be independent. When children's emotional needs are not met, children feel very insecure. They don't feel safe. They feel anxious, guilty, shame. They start acting out. They blame themselves for whatever is going on with the parents. So instead of, there's this sad reality that some parents use their children to settle out scores with their spouse or their partners without thinking of the consequences that it has on their children. So instead of parents to be using different tactics when they are actually avoiding the real issue that is going on with themselves and that relationship, let them focus on the family, focus on the impact that their parenting style is having on the children. Parents, instead of using one child or using the child against your spouse or partner, put your differences aside. Put your differences aside and you can join together to learn from each other. Learn the aspects or the parenting aspects that will improve or will have a positive impact on your children and your family. It is not a quick fix. So in doing this, is for you to combine, to blend your different parenting styles for the betterment of your children and your families. So start with negotiation. Talk about things. You don't have to think that, oh, I have to be right. Put the ego to the side because the ego will help to spoil the family. frustration in the children. So just put that aside. Support each other in parenting. It's not any competition in parenting. It is a learning process. So whatever a parent knows better, the other spouse or partner need to acknowledge them and learn or take on that aspect that has positive input on the children and the family. Give way to the stricter parent. Children know which parent is softer and which parent is so hard to get whatever they want. Children are fully aware. And because everyone has the tendency to manipulate, if children have that opening, they will manipulate parents. They'll play one parent against the other. But then, if both parents speak the same language, in the sense that if a child comes and asks for something, both parents, even at different times, will give similar response. That one reduces the gap for the children to manipulate one parent against the other. Let parents get together. Sometimes the conversation is difficult, but it's good to have the difficult conversation if it is perceived that it is a difficult conversation. Get together on the key values and learn from each other. Get help if that parenting style is not working. If you try combining the parenting styles and for whatever reason it's not working, get help. There's lots of help out there. But the thing is, parents need to have open and honest communication. It is very common to see a couple with children, yet they have separate and secret things that the other doesn't know about. And because of that, there's so much guilt and misbehavior and disrespect that comes into that relationship. And the saddest thing is, it impacts on the children. But if parents choose to blend their different parenting styles, put their differences aside and learn, because in life, we learn on a daily basis, then it will have a positive impact on our children. So then, in conclusion, is parenting is a joint effort and is the only school that you hardly graduate because you keep learning, you learn every day. So let's have that open mind to learn, because we don't only learn from our partners, our spouses, we learn from our children, because our children are one of our greatest teachers. And if as parents, we continue learning, we will be at an advantage. So we'll be a few steps ahead of our children, rather than our children being ahead of us. And then we have the role reversal, because then the children will be the parent, they'll be playing the parent role, and the parent will be playing the children's role. So parents, it's a joint effort to parent our children, or to come up with a parenting style that will suit our family, that will promote our children's growth, especially independence. Let's not make our children to be playing like the cat and mouse game when the parents are coming in, the children are in their bedroom, they're outside, they're gone, and things like that. So I just thought I should make this very quick presentation today. And overall, we have talked about the parenting styles, the tendencies of mothers who seem to be nurturing because of their innate abilities, nature of giving birth, and then fathers are straight to the point. However, both of them, they want the best for their children, though they might use different parenting styles. And when children's basic emotional needs are met, children are confident and independent. But if their needs are not met, the children tend to have anxiety, depression, and many mental and emotional health issues, especially now that it's in an increase. But then with some societies like the African, Asian, and Caribbean communities, that taboos around mental health and emotional well-being topic. So we need to be very mindful of that. So we talk about them to educate and raise awareness and the impact of different parenting styles on our children. And the best part is, put on your learning cap. So both parents learn the parenting styles from each other for the benefit of their children and their families, and why not their community and the nation as a whole. So thank you so much for watching the presentation. And if you have any questions, we will answer that. Thank you so much. And over to you, Aqua. Thank you.
Wow, Nelly. I thought you said you had 1,000 things to say. That was very precise, that was very concise and straight to the point.
Thank you so much.
Love it,
I had to like slash and slash and slash because
yeah. That was straight to the point. I like it. Thank you. Right. So we're talking about parenting styles. Please put in the comments what your own parenting style is. We've talked about the authoritarian, the authoritative, the permissive, and the uninvolved parenting styles that we all one of which you have, or a combination of 2 or 3, or even all of them. So I think I see myself in all 4 of them at different points in my parenting journey. So as we learn every day, we evolve, we learn new things, and we like the typical African mother, your child say, why do you want me to do? I'm like, because I told you so. Very authoritarian. We're not asking questions. We're not asking you to, we're not giving you, we don't even need to tell you why you're doing it, which is terrible. So thank you, Nelly, for that. This is an eye-opener. And while you were talking, I could picture myself, because actually I had a conversation with a friend. Sorry, I've got a cold. I had a conversation with a friend this morning, and we're talking about dealing with children's issues and how parents, myself included, we do not come together to deal with an issue. We deal with the issues individually as parents, rather than coming together and seeing how we can resolve that issue for that child. So thank you for that, because that personally touched me, because it was something that I spoke to somebody about this morning. So anyhow, well, so obviously it's time for discussion. It's time to ask a few questions as usual. So there are 2 styles here that are practically, they sound similar. I would like you to explain and differentiate these 2 for me, please. What is the difference between an authoritarian parenting style and an authoritative parenting style? What's the difference? What's the key difference?
Yeah, thank you, Aqua. So authoritarian is the opposite of authoritative. It is very, very confusing. I don't know why they cannot change it, because it's just the last 2 consonants, actually. Anyway, for the authoritarian parenting style, is the children say, just like you said before, that you say, do this. Very limited communication. They give instructions, or parents give instructions without explaining, and they expect the children to do what they are meant to do. And if the children don't do what they are asked to do, there's always the punishment. So it is a punishment. Whereas for authoritative, is the opposite of authoritarian. Parents are open, they have open communication. They listen to the child's views. They explain processes. They explain directives, what children need to do and why they need to do them, and the consequences. So that's another difference. Instead of punishment with authoritarian, it is consequences with authoritative. And obviously, the outcomes or the impact on the children are very different, because for the authoritative, the children feel that they are valued. So they will be able to self-regulate. They will be more independent because their parents encourage them. Whereas authoritarian, the children are very anxious because they have things going on within them. Let me focus on emotions, but they don't even have the opportunity to express themselves to their parents. So they live in fear, confusion, because they can't even attempt, probably if they attempt to express to their parents, they'll have a punishment. So it's better they just stay quiet. But while they are with their parents, authoritarian children are very well behaved. They are very well behaved. But then when they find a space where they can be free, it will be to their disadvantage because they haven't learned to a certain level self-control or self-regulation. So then they'll just go astray easily. So I think those are the those are the differences with the two. Thank you.
Right. So what I get is that the authoritarian parents through fear. So they give commands. They instill some kind of respect through fear. So the child is scared of opposing. The child is scared of rebelling sometimes because they know that they don't really have a voice. They have to do what they've been told to do. Otherwise, there's a consequence of behaving.
Yeah, in a way, you've talked about being rebellious. When the children are still young, they will not rebel. But then when they are much older, they will reflect their parents, because when they are younger, their parents are their authority figure. So then when they are much older, they will rebel against any authoritarian or any figure they think that is in authority. Because when they were younger, they had that, they suppressed that emotion because they couldn't express that with their parents.
Thank you, Nelly. And yes, so, and in effect, because children learn from their parents, they tend to parent in the same way. And we see that every day at work, even in ourselves, unless you start learning and developing new and learning what new parenting styles are, and you're open to learning, because it's not enough to have the information. It is about using that information to change, to effect change. Then you know that you're evolving. Because like I said, came from that background where you're told, this is what you're doing. Why? Because I told you so. That is not the reason. So yes, my son is pointing at me here like I have done that, and I agree. That is why I'm confessing here that yes, I did that when I didn't know better, but now I know better, and we have conversations. Yes, Tony, do we have conversations?
Sometimes.
Sometimes he says, and this is a little bit better than never. Right. So yes. So I am learning. We are all learning. We are in the process of learning, and there's nobody who knows everything. So now, permissive parenting. Can you give me some of the advantages and disadvantages of being a permissive parent?
Okay, so for permissive parenting, they are warm, they are nurturing, they have minimal expectations, and rarely use discipline. They have limited rules. Rules, not roles, rules. Yeah, their communication is open, but then they are more of friends than parents.
Everything goes. I do not like.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you need a bit of age. So you don't want, I know your child's friend, especially when they're younger, you're their parent. They have to have boundaries. You can be open and friendly, is what I believe anyway. We can be open and friendly with our children, very loving, open, bring in the conversation and have all the joy together, but there has to be that reverence, that difference, that respect that you do your parents. So parents and the children are friendly, but there has to be the boundary of a parent and a child. So we have different roles to play. So, and what about the uninvolved one then? Give me the advantages and the disadvantages of an uninvolved parent.
So, for the uninvolved, there's lots of freedom. What the parents do is, they provide the basic needs for the children, and basically that is it. But the children fend for themselves, and the parents are very detached from the children.
Right. Yeah. So they make sure that the children have food, they have shelter, they have the provision for school and everything else that they need, but then they do whatever they want.
Yes.
So no boundaries. And what are some of the disadvantages of parenting this way? What is the impact on the child?
So the impact on the child is they'll have no boundaries. So they'll struggle with their self-regulation. The children can struggle to manage their emotions because they are not thought. Say if they go and they're playing with friends, they'll react any way that they can to keep themselves safe, because that boundary is not there at home. So they've not developed that those skills to manage their emotions. And then communication might be a problem because they might not know what to filter.
Okay, so anything goes. They say what comes to the mind, they do whatever they want. Anything, nobody has told them that this is wrong. So what comes to mind is the fact that sometimes, especially with this modern technology, children are allowed to do whatever they want online. They access whatever, it doesn't matter what age movies or series that they watch, and they have open access to whatever. So that for me is quite dangerous. We are supposed to be involved in every aspect of our children's lives and help and guide them.
I think if I can just add something there, yes, you see, with parenting styles, people choose whatever parenting style they want for their children. Mostly, it is from the way we were parented. And like you said before, unless we become aware that our parenting styles need some adjustments, we'll not even think of it, because like in my experience, speaking to parents about joining a parenting program, first thing is that being defensive. So you mean to tell me I cannot provide for my children? No, that's not what I said. So parents become really, really defensive. And I mean, you said something about learning. Yes, parenting is a learning process. Like myself, I was not born with all these skills. I have been learning and I continue to learn. I remember a couple of years back when I was really, really struggling, and I could not even discipline my children because when I opened my mouth to speak, I would just cry. I realized that I had to do something. And that was when I started studying conscious parenting. And that really, really helped me, because even till now, I still learn about parenting because it's something that doesn't end. So if you are ready to open up and learn, it's not just to read it in a book. To read it in a book or to hear it from someone, I think is the easiest bit. The most difficult one is implementing. Because if you've had, say, a rhythm with your children, in your family, and then you want to change that, there will obviously be objections. And if you don't stand firm, you will fall back. So it is in the implementation that we need to focus, because like now, information is everywhere, but it's putting it into practice.
That is so important. That's true. So implementing what we have learned and being consistent with our parenting styles as well as we learn and we evolve. So another thing that can be different in parenting styles is we may be proactive or reactive. That is one thing that I really like us to touch on, because sometimes even obviously, parenting styles change as the children develop and grow. You parent a toddler in a different way. You parent a child, an older child, and a teenager in different ways. So you have to change and evolve as your children go and through the different stages of their development. Now, being proactive, most parents, myself included at the beginning, I used to just react to a child's behavior. Now, if we have not taught them what to do, if we're not showing them what the boundaries are, and we expect them to do the right thing just because it is the right thing to do, how are they supposed to know what the right thing to do is? If a child now, for example, goes out there and they are rude to somebody as a child, like a little toddler, or they go into nursery and they slap another child. When at home, if they slap you, you think that it's funny and they're laughing, and you've not set that boundary that you do not hit people. And then when they go out there and they do it, and the nursery teacher or the school teacher tells them that it is wrong, they will rebel, because that is not what they are used to. My parents have not taught me this thing. In my house, when I slap somebody, we laugh about it. So it's important that we set the boundaries for our children. It's important that we tell them this is the right thing to do and that is the wrong thing to do. And these are the consequences that come with those behaviors, and these are the rewards that come with the good behaviors. So that when the children are behaving in the way that they're behaving, they know that if I do good, there's a reward. If I do bad, there's a consequence. And we are not just shouting at them because they've gone wrong somewhere without even knowing that it was the wrong thing to do. So what are your thoughts about proactive parenting and reactive parenting?
Okay, so yeah, for the two, for me, coming from the emotional side of it, first, it's got to do with the parent themselves, because it is easy for parents to react. Let's say a child is acting out. A parent who is reactive will think that the child is doing it to them. So instead of thinking that that child might be in distress, straight away the parent thinks that the child is intentionally winding them up. And then what the parent will do is either will pull the child, whatever reaction that parent would do. So they will be reactive. Whereas, still the same example, if the parent is proactive, the parent might sit back for a bit and monitor the child for a few seconds or so, depending on the age of the child. Monitor the child. If the child can express themselves, then the parent can ask the child, what is going on? Because obviously the parent might have suspicion, but having suspicion doesn't mean that that is the actual thing. Communicate, ask the child, but it's not something that will start on a one-off. It's a practice that has to be going on for the child to know that if I am feeling this way, that way, and I speak to my parents, I will be listened to and things like that. So that trust, which is one of the I think skills that children develop very early on in life. You have the trust, mistrust. So it's for parents to not think that the child is doing it to them, because the child might be in distress and they don't even know how to express what they are feeling, what they are experiencing. Probably it could be even just an itch, let's say on their back, but they don't know how their hand can get to their back. And then probably they might start rolling on the floor and shouting, kicking their legs, just anything. And then parents will be like, oh, you are doing this to annoy me. You are doing, look at how everyone here is looking at me and things like that. But then, no, even if it's in the supermarket, just watch your child. What is going on? Speak to the child. Children don't want to be causing drama.
Some do.
Some do, because that is the attention they want.
Yeah, of course.
What I'm talking about is the which word can I use? Like without developing all those dramas. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. Yes. So it is important that we, as parents, be the good role models for our children to follow. We have to set the example. And as such, our children know that these are things that we teach them right from wrong, in effect. So that when they're doing something that they do know consciously that my parents have told me that this is right, and my parents have told me that this is wrong. So they make a choice when they're doing what they're doing. So we've talked a lot about the parenting styles. Let's move on to the next thing. You talked about the tendencies of fathers and mothers, the different ways fathers and mothers parent. Now, are all mothers nurturing? Are all fathers disciplinarian? What do you think?
I would start with a no, because at the very beginning, when I started talking about the tendencies, I said it is not specific to a mother and a father. Mm-hmm. I think it goes back to this idea of feminine and masculine energies, mm-hmm. because now it is not pertaining to a male or a female. Everyone has both tendencies. So it's for you to identify which of them is more for yourself, because some mothers are nurturing, some fathers are nurturing, some fathers are nurturing, and some mothers are not nurturing. Some mothers are the disciplinarian, and some fathers are the soothing ones. Mm-hmm. So it's every individual has both tendencies, but it's for each and everyone to notice which ones are dominating in their character. Though society has put like mothers, because it's easy to say mothers are nurturing. And let's say, like now on social media, when you see a father with the child, it's like, oh, that's so cute, and things like that, because it's rare. But it doesn't mean that fathers cannot be nurturing. So again, it's what society.
I think some of these are inbuilt characteristics in us, because as women, we are the ones who carry the baby, who instinctively are more motherly in nurturing in the way God created us, really. And that has been perpetrated by society. It doesn't mean that men cannot be nurturing as well, as you have said. So it should be a complementary thing. We should complement one another. The skills that I do not have, my husband should have. The skills that your partner doesn't have, you should have, so that you complement one another. It's not supposed to be oppositional. Yeah. Right. So when it comes to our children's emotional needs, how can we best meet their needs? Especially, how can we enable, especially the authoritarian parent, to be able to meet their children's emotional needs?
Okay, so for authoritarian, thank you for that question. That's a tricky one, I would say. First, it's for the parent to become aware. They need to give themselves permission, because no one can do that for them. It's for the parent who is that authoritarian, who is using the authoritarian parenting style to give themselves the permission to become aware of their parenting style and to know that that is not the best. Probably that's how they were parented. But then with evolution, things are changing. Again, if they can look on the impact on their children, which most probably they might not even understand the impact on their children because their children will present that very good children in front of the parent. So that parent might never notice how the children are struggling because they are not emotionally involved, they are not emotionally available with the children. So I think the first place to start off with is for the authoritarian parent to give themselves permission to understand what their parenting style is and how it is impacting on their children. Start with communication, but then they really need to be consistent because already there's that mistrust between the authoritarian parent and their child. So even if the parent comes and talks sweet, 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 the children will be like, I don't trust you. You want to get something out of me and probably use it against me. I'm not sure. And they'll obviously tell you something that they think you want to hear. But then if you are consistent with that same approach, probably the children will start thinking that, oh, maybe they are genuine, but it needs to be over a period of time for that trust to build.
Okay, right, okay. So yes, yes, when it comes to parenting, it starts with us as the parent, because children come to us as blank canvases. And as their first educators, they learn most of their first, especially the immoral aspects of their upbringing comes from their home. And if we do not put the foundation there, then they'll struggle. And then when they go out there, whatever they taught in school or whatever they hear from their friends, that is what they'll incorporate, because that is what will resonate with them. So as parents, we have to put the foundation. And when it comes to the emotional needs, we need to learn, because maybe, especially people from the African community, they didn't grow. Most of us who came from the come from the African community. Our parents do not talk about emotions. You grow up, they tell you this is what you're supposed to do, go to school, go to the farm, do this, do that. We do not talk about emotions. How you feel doesn't even come into the conversation. So now that we're learning, we know our struggles. As teenagers, we rebel as well. Sometimes you feel like, oh, my father hates me, my mother hates me. Why are they doing this to me? Just because we didn't have those conversations, and just because that is how they too were brought up. They didn't know any different. So it's incumbent on us to learn, and to learn what the different, our children's needs. First of all, know your own needs as a parent. Know the things that trigger you, and then learn about your children and what they are like. And they're individuals as well. But sometimes we forget to realize that, especially when we have a few different number of children. So they each are individuals. You cannot parent all your children in the same way. One will work for one, will not work for the other. You can be authoritarian with one and permissive to another, because you know that that one is more responsible and more mature and will do the right thing, because that is their temperament. And then you more authoritarian with one, because you know that if you do not put the stick behind them, they're not going to do what they're supposed to do. So you have to blend your parenting styles. So what is the impact? Let's start with the positives. One, the positives. What are the positive impacts of all these parenting styles? Because none of the parenting styles are all negative. All of them have positives and all of them have negatives. So what is one positive of each of these parenting styles, please? All four of them. Give me one positive in each one.
Okay, so for the authoritarian, for the positive is the children are well behaved.
There's a caveat in their presence.
Yeah, the children are well behaved in the presence of their parents or the parent.
Okay, all right, okay. We'll take that.
So,
They well behaved.
for
Mhm.
authoritative parenting, the children are very confident.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then for the permissive parenting, the children have lots of freedom. So they can decide when they want to go to bed, when they want to do their homework and things like that. So they choose. For the uninvolved parents, uh, I'm just thinking of the positive one.
Freedom.
The children can be resilient because since they have to fend for themselves, they develop, yeah, they can be
They can
resilient in
become,
tough
yeah.
times.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah, because yeah, freedom can be both positive and negative. That's true.
yeah,
Yeah, some children may know that okay, I have to fend for myself, so they may develop skills that
yeah.
will help them in the future because they know that nobody's coming to save me. That is
Mm.
great. I'm not going to go to the disadvantages because we can all imagine the disadvantages. Let's leave it at the positives. Right. So, how do we combine these different parenting styles? Now, if you're in a relationship, one person is very authoritative, one is uninvolved, or maybe more permissive. How do you combine these two styles? Because definitely, no two parents have the same parenting styles to the same degree.
Yeah, that's true. So it all starts with negotiation. So it starts with awareness first. What is your parenting style? What is your partner or spouse's parenting style? Once you know that, then that's the first step. Then negotiate. Find a comfortable place where you both are okay with that approach. Be open and communicate the key issues. Support each other's parenting. So parents need to avoid disagreement, especially when they are in front of the children, because if they do, they'll just help to confuse the children and it will increase their chances for manipulation. So give the stricter parents the upper hand. And then basically just have open conversation, open conversation. If you start or you attempt to have that open conversation and it becomes heated, take a pause. It might be that you yourself, you are defensive, but if you take a pause and reflect on your approach, it's like if we know we're going to have a difficult conversation, if you have it at the back of your head that it's a difficult conversation, already you are defensive. If they come like this, I will come this way and that. So sometimes just your approach, just your face, just the words you use, just your tone, just your body posture, anything, it gives it away. If you want to have that conversation, be in a relaxed environment. Make yourself to be calm. Be assertive. Put things straight on the table. But open and honest communication is key after being aware of your parenting styles and the impact on the children and family.
Right. So, in effect, children are at the center of all what you should do as parents. And like you said in the beginning during your presentation, it should not be a competition because there's a tendency that we compete with one another. We want to be the ones who have solved this problem or that problem. Found myself in that situation as well. So it is not
I
about
think,
us.
yeah, I think that one, what I say is if any individual finds themselves like in that state of competition, let them focus on their ego. It cannot be coming from the love aspect. It's coming from fear, which is fueled by the ego. So it's to look at it because the ego, There's some fantastic things to destroy people.
I know. And not just the individual themselves, but the people around them.
Yeah.
So that, and which we're talking about the children. So you said something critical when you were doing the presentation. Put yourself aside, put your feelings aside, and think about the child. The child is at the center of the discussion. The impact of our behavior and our parenting style is on the child, and how their confidence is affected, how their mental and emotional well-being is affected, how they are in society, what kind of a person they become, responsible or irresponsible. It all comes down to our parenting styles or the
Yeah.
lack thereof.
Yeah. Sorry, something just came. I thought I need to add this. You know, sometimes we are talking about children here, but parents have once been children too. And some parents emotionally are stuck at the age of their children. You find an adult who has been stuck emotionally because of an event when they were much younger. Let's say, for example, if there was an incident when a parent was, say, 4 years old, and they did not say they felt that trauma at that 4 years old, and they did not overcome that event, whatever it was. Emotionally, that can stop them there. That particular aspect is not generally. In that particular aspect, it could be, say, trusting someone, or probably, let's say the mother was never there or the father was always at work, never there. There's that gap. And when parent or when that child grows into an adult, that gap will always be there because it has not been resolved. And how do parents display this? It is very unconscious the way they present it. For instance, either a man or a woman, depending on which of the parents they have that resentment for, they might have, let's say if it's a male, they might resent females. They might want to get into a relationship with a female. But when they get into a relationship with a female, because they have that thing is unconscious, they know that their mom, they wanted their mom to be with them, but their mom was never there, or on the other side, their dad, but their dad, that gap is always there. So then, as an adult, emotionally, they are stuck at 4-year-old. And when they are interacting now as adults with their children, it's easy for that role reversal, because if their child has not experienced trauma at that young age, it means that they have outgrown the parents, the age, the 4 years old at which the parent was traumatized and is still emotionally there. So then the child will easily take upon the parenting role. So that's where role reversal comes in. I know sometimes it's confusing because it's child and yeah.
Yeah, that's so crucial. You talked about things that happen to us as young people. When we were doing the emotional well-being course, something came to my mind that I am still overcoming, as in I realized something that happened when I was a teenager that I am doing with my own children, in the sense that when I did something wrong, my father would say, "You're not coming into my car today." He was teaching in the same school as I was. And you say, because he was angry with me, you say, "You walk to school." And he would drive past me, going to the same school. And that, you feel like a rejection. And so that the parenting style, as in, you do something wrong, I shun you. I had that parenting style in me. I had it until I became conscious of the fact that, no, my children, their behavior has nothing to do with the fact that I love them. I have to separate, like you always say, separate the child child's behavior from their person and their individuality and the value that they have as a human being. So doing something wrong doesn't mean that you have to be rejected. It means that the behavior needs to be corrected and not you as a child being rejected. So that is something that I learned that throughout the past year, I have been learning, because it's something that I only realized during this. I've been going through some difficulties. So during this difficult time, I have been doing a lot of reflecting, which is not something that is automatic with me, because I am one person who just lives life and just goes ahead. I don't usually look back as in sit down and reflect and say, but if it is something that I have to tell you about, I'll reflect on it and tell you, you hear my piece. But I don't usually sit and reflect and see what I have learned or what I haven't learned. But it is something that I've been doing for this past year. So it's important that we separate the child's do from their who. So it is very critical as parents.
Yeah,
you want to add anything to that?
I just want to say thank you for those who are watching. Ivy says there's a comment here from Ivy. Ivy says, great conversations on parenting styles. Thank you, Ivy, for watching. Thank you, everyone, for watching.
Okay, yeah. So, thank you, Ivy. Welcome. We're still waiting for you to join the panel. You said you were going to join. We're waiting for you. So you better sharpen your skates and come on.
Yeah. So yeah, I think this one is just a tip. There's loads that we need to still talk about, but it'll be for some other time, because like now there are changes and development, evolution, enlightenment, because parents were being parented the way they did doesn't mean that we have to continue, especially because of the impact it has on our children's mental and emotional health. And to make things worse, the taboos, the cultural norms, the stigma around it, it just makes someone to feel isolated, and where will they go to? Which is why these mental health issues and emotional health is just in the increase. So we need to take a step back and really think first with ourselves as parents, because like Aqua and myself have said, the skills we have now, we were not born with all the skills. Skills are learned. We learn them as we grow older. But the thing is, if something bad doesn't happen to you, you will not even think that you need to learn the skills. So
say that again.
Yeah, so that's why I say difficulties present us learning opportunities for us to be better people. So yeah, I think as parents, let's be open, because because things were the way they were doesn't mean that it always has to be that way. There needs to be changes.
Like you just said, bad things happen to us, and
so
we learn.
Just to read this comment from Ivy. You don't catch me today. I'm coming.
Ivy. Right. So what I was going to say, what was I going to say? What did I say before you interrupted me? I forgot. Anyway, it's been a wonderful conversation. So what we need to get out of this is that we need both parents in our children's lives. Even if you are separated, you need the child needs both the father and the mother. So we have to co-parent if we are not living in the same house. We have to co-parent if we are divorced, and we have to put the children at the center. The children, let our adult relationship be separate from our relationship with our children. Let us not put our differences, not allow our differences, so to speak, impact on how we parent our children. Our children's emotional well-being is at the forefront of what we should be doing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So yeah, thank you so much everyone for watching, and Aqua, any last words before we finish? We've gone over today. Just to
Interesting
show how
conversation.
intense this conversation has been.
Yeah, so thank you everyone for watching. If you want to know more about what we do as an organization, visit our website on handhandcommunitycic.com. I repeat, handhandcommunitycic.com. Or send us a direct message on Facebook and we will get in touch with you. Now we want more people to join the conversation. Ivy, you're next in line. We're waiting for you with a topic that you'd like to come and discuss. And anybody who has a burning issue that they want to talk about, you know, they want to share with the world, why not? Come and join the panel and let us help learn from one another and grow together. We are a family and we have to work hand in hand.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone, and have a great evening or morning, whatever time you find yourself. Stay blessed and see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.